Non-Americans, what do you think every American person has in their house? Story 1. Laundry dryer. In my country, almost everyone dries their laundry on a wire outside. So the concept of a dryer is baffling to me. I only see them in American movies and shows. Do the majority of you have it or not? The majority of us either have it or have access to one, such as a shared laundry room in an apartment complex. Those who don't have one usually go to something called a laundromat, where it's basically just a room with a dozen or so quarter-operated washers and dryers. Almost no one, and no one I know, uses a clothesline to dry clothes. Where I live, it would be a nightmare. It's either raining, so humid you can dang near drink the air, or snowing. Sometimes it'll do all three just to make us question why we live here. Edit 1. Yes, to everyone asking if I'm from Michigan, I am. Edit 2. Thanks for the clarification. Yes, it takes far more than a single quarter to wash clothes. Very quickly it becomes expensive to wash clothes at a laundromat. Thank you for explaining. I live in Serbia, and most of the time you can dry your clothes outside. Except winter, obviously. But one time, while at my sister's, I had to dry some clothes for vacation that was tomorrow. The weather was bad, and you simply can't find a dryer anywhere here. So we had to rig a portable AC unit with 2 hair dryers behind and put the clothes on a rack to dry it. And that was me being lucky. If not for that unit, I would have had to dry each one with a hair dryer. And your creative ingenuity coupled with necessity is likely more or less how the dryer was invented. Story 2. Washer collector here. Automatic washers became popular in the US during the early 1950s, and you had your choice between front load and top load. Top loaders had larger capacity, important with the baby boom, had higher spin speeds, so drying time was faster, important when many didn't yet own a dryer, went out of balance less often, not trying to distribute a sloshing horizontal load, had very fast cycle times, clothes washed in 20 minutes, and clothes and detergents could be added at any time after the start of the cycle. Plus, you don't have to stoop to get the clothes out. In Europe, the constraints were different. Typically, there was no dedicated laundry room or basement for the larger machine. Laundry tended to be done more frequently, so capacity wasn't as much of a concern. Water was and is more expensive, so a longer cycle time was acceptable for less consumption. And machine size was dictated by countertop height, as many were installed in kitchens, out of convenience, and plumbing. In the US, front loaders are more common these days, as energy efficiency is pushed, and advancing tech has improved upon many of the original constraints. But these front loaders tend to be supersize, American-style machines with large capacity and risers to get them up off the floor, so still quite different from their EU counterparts. Story 3. Just a literal block of cheese, just chilling in the fridge. I'm certain they woke up randomly at 3 a.m. and go, "Oh my god, cheese sounds so good right now." I am terrified after coming back to see hundreds of notifications. I would like to clarify that I'm Southeast Asian, not East Asian. Putting cheese on foods is all the rage in East Asia, at least in Korea nowadays, but I don't think it is that huge in Southeast Asia. Plus, I have mild lactose intolerance. I suppose cheese to you guys is rice to us. I don't think I snack on rice, however. So, I live in Wisconsin. My dad is actually a cheesemaker. I joke about the cheese fairy visiting me because whenever I get low on cheese, more just appears in my fridge. I love cheese, but my husband loves it more. He will actually just hack off a big 2-inch thick hunk of cheese and eat it. Story 4. Let me be the actual person here. At one time, due to odd circumstances, I had an electric dryer, a gas dryer, and an available clothesline. I asked my dad, the appliance man, which was cheapest to use. He showed me how to calculate the cost of drying a single load in each of the gas and electric dryers. Each of them cost $4. At that time, I worked from home and made $4 an hour. So then he said to time myself hanging up the laundry and bring it in when it was dry took me an hour. So long as it would take me away from work to hang clothes, all the costs were the same. If I had no paying work, which was rare, then it would be better to hang them out. Since then, electricity costs have gone up by half, but my pay is 7 or 8 times what it was then. It's fine for us to choose to dry clothes in the electric dryer. Story 5. A dusty jar filled with coins, mostly 1-cent pennies, and ask them why, because the replies are always humorous. I keep a jar of change as a rainy day fund, something I never think about, but over time adds up. In a tight spot, I can cash it in to pay an unexpected expense. I'll always go through it before cashing it in, looking for silver coins and misprints, etc. I don't spend pennies, nickels, or dimes generally. They go in a jar when it fills. I take it to a Coinstar machine to exchange for dollars, which then goes into an envelope and goes in my safe in the closet. Once I reach 1K, I use it to pay off debts. Usually it takes about 2 years to hit 1K, but it's a nice way to tackle debt. I don't need the money to live on, so it's a way to get me to save without ever really having it easily accessible to spend. Story 6. Most of the world is tankless. Most U.S. homes have a 30 or 40-gallon water heater fueled by natural gas or electricity. Why? Design and costs, mostly. Old tankless systems took a long time to deliver hot water. They've gotten much better. So consumers didn't like them. And they tend to cost more to install initially, though tankless costs less in the long run. New tankless deliver hot water pretty quickly, though not as quickly as a tank system in many instances, but converting a tank system to tankless is much more expensive than just replacing an existing tank. So when old water heaters die, most people just replace them. And because U.S. energy costs tend to be low by global standards, the cost-benefit calculus of tank versus tankless, coupled with the performance issues, means most Americans go with a tank water heater. Story 7. Own a musket for home defense, since that's what the Founding Fathers intended. 4 ruffians break into my house. What the devil? As I grab my powdered wig and Kentucky rifle, blow a golf ball-sized hole through the first man. He's dead on the spot. Draw my pistol on the second man, miss him entirely because it's smoothbore and nails the neighbor's dog. I have to resort to the cannon mounted on the top of the stairs, loaded with grape shot. Tally-ho, lads! The grape shot shreds 2 men in the blast. The sound and extra shrapnel set off car alarms. Fix bayonet and charge the last terrified rapscallion. He bleeds out, waiting for the police to arrive, since triangular bayonet wounds are impossible to stitch up, just as the Founding Fathers intended. Story 8. Air conditioning. Yep, here in Las Vegas there are programs that provide no-cost air conditioners to pretty much anyone who qualifies. People die here every year because of the heat. AC is seen as a necessity here. Wow, people have opinions about living in the desert. Not everyone has the resources to leave, even if they wanted to. Also, Vegas is really good with water. Place your blame on Arizona and California. I think this is where the size of the U.S. comes in. Some areas would seem uninhabitable without air conditioning and or heat, but some places you wouldn't really need one or the other. Yeah, in New Mexico, most of our population growth didn't happen until after AC became a thing. Scorching summers and freezing winters. Story 9. Pop-Tarts, whatever those are. They always talk about Pop-Tarts. My grandfather helped invent those. He was a test baker, and inventing the recipes for the company's products was what he did. His hands were extremely soft from a lifetime of working with butter and such. The sad thing is, what he invented was probably heavenly. The test kitchen used the best ingredients for development, but once a product was pushed into production, they used the cheapest ingredients they could get away with, including substitutions, so hardly any of that stuff had butter once it hit production. My grandpa hated shortening because of all that. Story 10. It's fire safety. Our houses are built out of wood, not stone. Even the brick ones just have brick on the outside. Drywall is just gypsum plaster between 2 sheets of paper to give it strength so that it can be made into 8x4 segments used in construction. Back to the fire safety, gypsum plaster absorbs water from the air and can take over 2 hours to burn through, so it gives you crucial time to exit a house during a fire. It's very common here, in Norway, in somewhat newer houses, but in a bit older houses, it's quite unusual. Story 11. Toilet plunger. Edit. I guess we have stumbled upon quite a cultural talking point. I'm from the UK, and I have never owned a plunger, nor have I seen one at a friend's house. I have seen them at DIY shops, of course. I don't remember my toilet ever clogging up. I assume every American house has them, mainly from movies and cartoons. Seemed like Tom was getting a plunger to the face every other episode. When I visited America, I was rather surprised at the high level of water in the bowl. I was kind of worried about the Franken beans taking a dip. Yeah, in America, you guys must just take really Mondo Dukes. Story 12. One of those giant containers of orange ball food. I know you mean cheese balls, but I'm just imagining pellet food for Americans. Like someone's keeping a tiny redneck in one of those wire hamster cages with the tubes. There's a water bottle on the side filled with Diet Pepsi and a food bowl full of tiny cheese balls with a few bits of hamburger mixed in for variety. I think the fact that there's a home gym hamster wheel would sell a lot of folks on the idea. Story 13. A thermostat. The thermostat I'm referring to is the little dial attached to the wall in every American movie and house I went to while visiting. To those asking what the alternative is, a reverse cycle air conditioner we turn on when we are no longer comfortable. If it gets hot, we turn it on and select cold. If it gets cold, we turn it on and select heat. I'm aware some people call these heat pumps, but no one calls them that where I live. Story 14. Also, from the food perspective, I imagine the size of the American refrigerator and concept of food, desserts, longer trips to the grocery store outside of major metros mean we stock up on stuff more than I'll just walk down to Tesco and grab stuff for tonight, maybe tomorrow. If you have space to store some food, it makes sense to get the mega tub of peanut butter or an extra block of cheese in case you want to make pizza roll nachos. Story 15. While browsing homes in England and Scotland for fun, I found out that Brits don't have closets. Instead, they have huge wardrobes. On one hand, it's convenient for when you move, because you can just move the whole wardrobe with clothes inside. But on the other hand, it clutters the room. Also, their laundry machines are under the kitchen counter, and their fridges are oddly tall and narrow. American, if that wasn't clear. Story 16. This thread is really making me question if European houses are just empty boxes with a singular bag of tea in them. That's so insulting. There's lots of tea. Story 17. The amount of garbage disposal comments got me crying. In the UK, our food gets composted by the council in many areas, so we set it out in a little bin every week. In India, or more accurately in my city, we set out dry garbage and wet garbage separately, until we realized the garbage collecting guy just dumped everything in the same container anyway. Story 18. Individual cans or bottles of soft drinks. I came here ready to roll my eyes at the expected responses, but instead I'm here to confirm your accusations. Peanut butter? Check. Ice in the fridge door? Check. In-sink disposal? Check. Individual soft drinks? Check. Looks side to side, then goes to the window to find European Redditors staring back. Story 19. Multiple different types of weird sauces. They take up a fourth of my fridge. I didn't realize this was weird. Don't let the King of England barge into your fridge and shame you. Freedom is a weird man. As if they didn't try to conquer half the world for some sugar and spices. Story 20. Jeans. As a mystified American, I have the same question. Do other people in other countries not wear jeans? Can't speak for everyone, but here in the Netherlands, the regular people wear jeans 99% of the time. Business people obviously don't, but still often do in their free time. Story 21. Large quantities of over-the-counter drugs in huge bottles. Like Tylenol and ibuprofen? Yes, actually. Costco, $3.99 for 500 Benadryl, and $5.99 for 500 ibuprofen for the win. I keep my antidepressants out on the table for my maid to see that I'm still miserable. Story 22. A sofa that faces a studio audience. When you walk into your living room and you hear the applause, it really helps you get through your day. Or when you walk into a friend's house and all the ladies do the hot guy scream. Story 23. As an American, I was expecting guns, but ranch dressing hurt for some reason. There. It's just the type we invented that caught on. They have other local favorite dressings in other countries too. You just haven't heard of them. Story 24. That garbage disposal thing I always see in shows and movies. Story 25. It's so strange that people in other countries don't really eat much of it. I eat some every day. Putting a little dab of it on a square of dark chocolate is my favorite thing. I'm going to guess he's talking about peanut butter. Story 26. Came here for jokes, left feeling called out, and reminded me that I need to add peanut butter to our grocery list because we are almost out and can't function at breakfast time without it. Story 27. An outside porch, basketball net, basement, walk-in closet, top loader washing machine, triangular college flag. Outside, the post box, bedroom window that teenagers come and go by at night, front doors which aren't locked. Story 28. Eggs in the fridge. American eggs are sanitized, removing the outer protective layer of the shell. This leaves it porous and susceptible to bacteria entering the egg. So, in short, breakfast with extra steps. Story 29. Every American household has a drawer full of random doo-doo. Dead batteries, screws, shoelaces, etc. It's called the junk drawer. They all have that distant junk drawer smell, too, like old playing cards. Story 30. It's like when someone posted online that white people do have a culture. That's how we get beach-themed bathrooms. I died laughing because I do, and two of my besties do too. Story 31. Cereal. I buy Reese's Pieces cereal for dessert instead of ice cream. Some American cereals are ridiculous. Edit. Most. Put them in ice cream. Better yet, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, life-changing. Story 32. Oh, the washing machines where you put everything on the top. This fascinated me when we visited the States. They're huge. Yes, and a matching dryer. They make those as well. Story 33. Came here looking for jokes and found a bunch of people describing my home. Story 34. Apparently, Americans are rather fond of pickles and peanut butter. Is that a fair assumption to make? Edit, I meant either or, not at the same time. Story 35. I scrolled for a long time before I came across something listed that I didn't have. Story 36. A coffee machine with a large glass jug full of black coffee being kept warm. The UK mostly has electric kettles for making hot drinks individually. Story 37. Peanut butter. I'm an American, and it is rare that I don't have peanut butter in my home. Because you are sensible, and it's delicious. Story 38. This is the most wholesome I've ever felt about my country in a while. Yes, peanut butter, air conditioner, disposal in the sink. Story 39. Barbecue sauce. I have at least 5 varieties of barbecue sauce in my fridge at the moment, including 2 that are homemade. Story 40. I'm convinced almost every American has a mountain of pillows on their bed. Not a mountain, but perhaps a small hill. Story 41. A plastic bag filled with plastic bags, though a lot of stores are going plastic bag free lately, depending on your state. Story 42. A switch that, when you flick it, turns your sink into a blender. A trash smoothie. Story 43. Fridge with ice dispenser built in. As an American living in Amsterdam, I miss my ice dispenser. Story 44. Came here expecting gun comments, only to discover instead that everyone has apparently walked through my house. Story 45. Peanut butter, shoes indoors, garbage disposal, basement, ranch, guns, Bibles, top-load washer, American flag? Story 46. I am so surprised with this whole top-loading washing machine answer. Why is this abnormal? Story 47. A garage fridge, filled with beer and frozen boxes of crap from Costco. Story 48. The bag of bags is a time-honored tradition in many American homes. Story 49. Popcorn sitting on the microwave. Popcorn, pizza, and, oddly, a potato. Story 50. A plastic bag filled with plastic bags. Story 51. A gallon of milk in the refrigerator. Story 52. Drywall. Lots of drywall. Story 53. Mac and cheese. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.